From Scars to Strength, the Radical Journey of Healing. The first time I heard Dr. Lori Speed's story, I sat completely still, barely breathing. Not because it was shocking, though parts certainly were, but because in her journey, thousands of women might finally see their own reflection. Dr. Speed isn't just another motivational speaker with a polished narrative. She's a living testament to what I can only describe as radical resilience. When she shared her story with me, it wasn't the achievements that left me speechless. Though becoming Dr. Lori Speed after surviving profound childhood abuse, a suicide attempt at 16, and failed marriages that left emotional wreckage is certainly remarkable. No, what struck me was how she transformed through faith in a way that didn't erase her scars, but repurposed them into something powerful, something healing. In a world obsessed with airbrush perfection, Dr. Speed offers something revolutionary: authentic transformation. Her message isn't some glossy Instagram filtered version of healing. It's raw, it's real, and it speaks directly to those of us who have spent years in survival mode, especially Black women who've been carrying everyone and everything except perhaps themselves. I want to share what I learned from Dr. Speed because her insights form a roadmap for anyone trying to transform pain into purpose. And isn't that in some way all of us? Here's the truth that changed everything for me: healing isn't an event, it's a process. We live in a culture obsessed with instant transformation, the dramatic weight loss, the overnight success, the sudden spiritual awakening. But Dr. Speed's journey reveals something far more honest. Healing from trauma happens in layers. It's messy, it takes time, and most importantly, it requires multiple forms of support working together. For Dr. Speed, this meant spiritual formation alongside professional therapy, community support alongside daily personal disciplines. Not either or, but both and. This layered approach is what rebuilds not just coping mechanisms, but identity and agency. Consider Dr. Lena Edwards, a Black woman physician who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1964. Her story parallels Dr. Speed's message in profound ways. While practicing medicine, she raised six children, confronted relentless racial and gender bias, and chose to serve in a Texas migrant camp with scarce resources. Using her personal savings, she founded maternity and health clinics that served approximately 5,000 laborers. Dr. Edwards didn't just survive systemic barriers, she transformed them into platforms for service. Her Howard University training as an OB/GYN, her groundbreaking residency at Margaret Haig Hospital as the first Black woman to complete one there, her pioneering work in natural childbirth, all of this emerged from a place where adversity could have defined her. Instead, she defined herself. This brings me to Dr. Speed's second profound insight: your past is context, not a cage. Let that sink in for a moment. Your past is context, not a cage. How many of us have believed the opposite? That early betrayal, abuse, or trauma somehow determines our destiny, that we're permanently marked, permanently limited by what happened to us. Dr. Spee's life demonstrates otherwise. The very experiences that could have destroyed her became the raw material for her purpose, her leadership, her service to others. Not because the pain wasn't real, it was devastatingly real, but because she refused to let it be the final word. I think about Dr. Tabitha Carr in this context. As a Black woman entrepreneur and founder of Good Girl Chocolate, she faced extraordinary challenges breaking into national retail: capital constraints, supply chain complexity, the subtle and not so subtle biases that come with being a small Black woman owned brand. Yet today, her health focused premium chocolate is in 150 Whole Foods Market locations. Through disciplined operations and strategic partnerships, she transformed setbacks into a sustainable enterprise. Her past challenges provide the context for her business approach, not limitations on what she could achieve. This is what Dr. Speed means when she says your past is context, not a cage. Your history informs your perspective, but it doesn't have to imprison your potential. But how do we actually do this? How do we move from survival to purpose, from trauma to transformation? This leads to Dr. Speed's third insight, what she calls speak, seek, and structure. First, speak. Tell your story safely. Not to everyone, not all at once, but to someone who can hold it with care. Silence protects secrets, and secrets protect pain. Speaking breaks that cycle. I remember sitting with a woman after a conference who told me, I've never said this out loud before. What followed was a story of childhood abuse she'd carried alone for 40 years. Just speaking it, naming it, shifted something. Not everything, but something essential. Second, seek. Ask for professional help. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. We wouldn't hesitate to see a doctor for a broken bone. Why do we hesitate to seek help for broken places in our hearts and minds? The James M. Dixon Foundation, led in part by Dr. Lori James, demonstrates this principle beautifully. Facing challenges of food insecurity and health disparities in under resourced neighborhoods, they didn't try to solve everything alone. They built partnerships, they created community centered wellness initiatives, they sought expertise and collaboration. The result? Expanded outreach programs that improve wellness metrics in vulnerable communities. Their work shows how healing scales from personal transformation to community transformation when we're willing to seek the help we need. Finally, structure. Build daily practices that protect your peace and progress. Boundaries that say no to what drains you, rituals that ground you, accountability that keeps you moving forward. Structure isn't sexy, it's not the inspirational quote you post on social media, but it's the invisible architecture that holds healing in place when emotions and circumstances fluctuate. Dr. Speed recommends what she calls a 30-30-30 practice for 30 days. 30 minutes of quiet time or prayer journaling to reclaim your identity. 30 minutes of movement to regulate stress in your body. 30 minutes to build structure, set one boundary, one priority, and reach out to one trusted person each day. Simple? Yes. Easy? No. Transformative? Absolutely. I've seen this work in my own life. After years of saying yes to everything and everyone, I started setting boundaries, not dramatically, not all at once, but one conversation at a time. One, no, I can't do that at a time. One, this is what I need at a time. The first few boundaries felt terrifying. I was certain relationships would end, opportunities would vanish, people would reject me. Some did. But what emerged was a life with more space, more authenticity, and surprisingly, deeper connections with those who respected my limits. This is a paradox Dr. Speed's journey illuminates. The very things we fear will diminish us. Acknowledging our wounds, asking for help, setting boundaries are precisely what allow us to expand into our full selves. I want to be clear about something. This isn't a story about toxic positivity. Dr. Speed doesn't suggest that trauma is somehow a blessing in disguise or that suffering always has a silver lining. Some experiences are simply devastating, Full stop. What her journey shows us is that even devastating experiences don't have to be the end of our story. That with faith, with support, with daily disciplines, we can write new chapters, not despite our scars, but somehow mysteriously because of them. For Black women, especially, who have historically carried the weight of families, communities, and workplaces on their shoulders, this message is revolutionary. It says you don't have to be the strong one anymore. You don't have to keep it all together. You can lay down the cape. You can be soft. You can rest. You can heal. As Dr. Speed would say, softness isn't weakness, it's a radical act of self love. If you're listening right now and thinking, but you don't understand how bad it is, or it's too late for me, or I'm too broken, I want you to hear this. Dr. Speed attempted suicide at 16. She endured abuse that would break most people. She experienced failures and losses that seemed final. Yet here she is. Dr. Lori Speed, transformed not by denying her wounds, but by allowing them to be tended, healed, and ultimately repurposed. So I stand before you today with a challenge to reimagine what healing could look like in your life, a challenge to see your scars not as permanent limitations, but as potential sources of strength, a challenge to take one small step today toward transformation. Try Dr. Speed's 30 30 30 practice for just 1 week. 30 minutes to reclaim your identity, 30 minutes to move your body, 30 minutes to build structure through boundaries, priorities, and connection. If you're struggling with thoughts of suicide, please reach out immediately. In the US, you can dial or text 988 for immediate support. You are not alone, and your story is not over. Remember, your healing isn't just possible, it's your birthright. Your scars can become sources of strength. Your pain can become purpose. And the very experiences that once threatened to destroy you can become the foundation upon which you build a life of meaning, service, and yes, even joy. Not because the past didn't happen, but because you refuse to let it have the final word. The world needs your healing, not just for you, but for all the lives you'll touch when you transform your pain into purpose, when you allow your scars to become strength. The journey begins with a single step. Will you take it?